Hey, welcome back to Rust Order Garage. It is time to see if I screwed something up. All right, so been busy, been very busy. So trying to get this fit in. I don't even have time to do this really, but we're going to try to get it done today. I'm in the middle of many different things. Did take some time off. Went to the Carlisle, Pennsylvania swap meet. Found a bunch of stuff to bring home that I don't need. Did find some LS stuff. I picked up a couple truck intakes with flex fuel injectors and the flex fuel stainless rails for like next to nothing, $10 and $20. Some PCMs, some other stuff. Still looking for some more of the early 99 to 02 red and blue PCMs, but I seem to find the blue and greens everywhere for nothing. One thing, though, is definitely for sure, as popular as these LS swaps are, I don't think a whole lot of people are doing them because as far as used parts go, small block, big block Chevys still rule the world. Carburetors rule the world. You want a carburetor intake? You can get any one you want at the swap meet. They're everywhere. You want something for an LS? You got to really look. Not popular stuff at the swap meet, that's for sure. Old school rules at the swap meet. But regardless, that's fine with me because I have old school stuff too. But we won't get into that right now. I gotta do something with this car. So the 55 POS special here with the turbo and all that stuff. Hopefully you've been following along. My Turbo 400 sounds like it has a supercharger on it. It's whining pretty good. So even though the history on this transmission is known but unknown, it last was used, I think I used it at least 20 years ago, long time. But it used to work before I put a B&M Transpac in it, and but it, you know, we drove it up and down the road and it shifted. But right now, it sounds like the front pump is whining. A couple things could do that, and could all be my fault. First thing is it whining because the pump is starved for fluid? Is the fluid not making it in because the filter's plugged? Well, I dropped the pan on this transmission. It originally had a shallow pan on it for passenger car. I bought a deep pan and the deep pan tube from a person online who parts out Turbo 400s. And I installed those. I don't think I did it on video because it's just a transmission service, but regardless, the filter that I put on, I bought what was supposed to be an AC Delco filter. Maybe it was a counterfeit, but that style of filter is a felt style filter. I don't know Turbo 400s much. I really never used them. I always use Turbo 350s in my cars. But everything I've been reading online, whether it's true or not, is don't use a felt filter in your Turbo 400, even though they're for sale everywhere. They all say use the screen type filter, which if you look in the main hole there, you don't see anything in there. And in the suction area, there's a screen inside there. I don't know if it'll show or not, but the filter I put on was a felt style. So did that filter plug up because of the modifications, say with the shift kit? Maybe it pumps more fluid, maybe the pressures are higher, I don't know. Is the pump filter clogged and that's why it's whining? We're going to find out. Other thing I did wrong, because again, I'm not used to Turbo 400s. When I put the filter in the transmission, it seemed kind of floppy. I didn't think that was right, and I added washers to the mounting bolt to kind of hold the filter tight to the valve body. I guess that's wrong. It's actually supposed to flop around. So I guess what can happen is if it's mounted securely to the valve body, it could pull the tube out of the pan, out of the transmission pump, and maybe I'm sucking air, and that's why it's whining. Maybe the tube I bought's cracked because it's plastic. I don't know, but we're gonna drop the pan on this thing and see how bad I messed up and if this will fix the problem. And one thing I did buy, because my transmission pan does not have a drain plug on it, I bought one of these oil pump extractors online. somebody wants me. But to see if I can just pump out the transmission fluid into the original transmission containers that I still have, because this is brand new fluid I just put in this thing. And I'll pump it out, strain it through a paint filter, and put it right back in. I'm not going to waste it. But I'm going to hook up this little pump here and see if I can pump the fluid out of the dipstick tube cleanly. All right, this is nothing but a little 12-volt pump here. Little covers over the ports, which will be good for vacuum plugs. Who am I kidding? They're probably garbage. They'll be there. Probably last about an hour. And we got a couple hoses. All right, I'm going to actually look at the directions and see which hose goes where here. Okay, I have the hoses on there. Looks like the little guy is for the suction side and the big clear one is for the drain. Get it in here. Man, these hinges. 55 hinges suck without springs. Let's see. Got my handy dandy hood holder upper. All right, haven't been in here in a while. I did buy a turbo blanket for the turbo, so put that on, and some wrap to try to make the downpipe look a little nicer, I guess. Hold the heat in. I don't know. Whatever works. I also have to go into the tune and turn off the knock detectors, the knock sensors, because they're pulling timing. They shouldn't be pulling timing. All right, I think I have this thing rigged up. I have the small tube down in the transmission dipstick tube. I have the outlet into my container. I have a battery here because my battery is in the trunk. Let's see if this works. I don't think they work very fast. So hopefully it won't just spray oil all over everything, because the idea was to not make a mess. Oh, it does have an on-off switch. Cool. All right, let's see what happens here. We get over here, hit the switch. Let's see if it works. It is working. It is actually pumping fluid. So I have two of these containers, 2 gallons. I don't think I have 8 quarts in the pan, but it is working. So I'll come back after I got all the fluid out, I guess. All right, for those keeping score at home, that took about 12 minutes for it to pump a gallon. But it keeps me from wearing it or dumping it all over the floor. I'll take it. All right, I got out about 6 quarts, gallon and a half out of there, which I think is probably accurate for a deep pan. So shouldn't be a whole lot left in there, if anything. So that's cool. All right, close the hood, drop the pan, and see how bad I screwed up. All right, see my shiny pan with mud on it, because I actually drove the car. Yeah, so got a drain pan on the floor just in case. We'll pop out these 1/2-inch bolts, because this is a boomer transmission. We don't do metric. Notice how easy they're coming out? You don't have to over torque transmission pan bolts. It just makes things leak. So I'm going to leave a few bolts in. And the other thing is, I put my dipstick tube back in, just so I can double check my full level, which I'm sure I did before, but we'll check it again. Loosen that one up, loosen that up, loosen that out of there. All right. She's gonna come down. So we'll just let that hit the floor. Let that hit the floor. Let that hit the floor. We won't let that hit the floor. We'll set that down. So hopefully I can reuse this gasket, because I don't have any others. And that suction tool worked pretty good. I mean, there's very little in the pan. Certainly not enough to worry about as far as dropping it and spilling it everywhere. Just let the drip pan get the rest. Now, you can see how I rigidly mounted this filter. My fill tube looks intact, so it didn't pull that out. So now I'm just hoping that it's a matter of the filter being plugged. I'll get it down and take a look. And one thing is, there's actually an imprint of the filter in the pan. So this was touching the bottom of the pan. So that may not be good. I might have spaced it down. I don't remember. I have to look at this and see what I did as far as washers go. I didn't think I spaced it down more than the factory spacing tube here that I have. This is a deep pan, so you have a longer bolt than normal, and a spacer that goes on top of the filter to space it down from the valve body. And then this should come out of here. Definitely wasn't loose. Ah, you know what? I had a washer here too, which that shouldn't have been there. Okay, so yes, this is a mesh type filter, not a screen type. I sprayed some brake cleaner in there, and you can see the felt in there. So here's how much I remember. I thought it was in the big hole as well, but it's not. There's where you can see it. And the one I'm going to be installing has just like a screen. They call it a screen type filter. No mesh. So no yellow. So I think that's more of maybe a regular performance one. I don't know if I clogged it, but the spacing wasn't good if it was down touching the bottom of the pan. So we'll see. I'm going to throw on the screen filter and hope for the best. While I'm here, I said I want to check my level of my dipstick. There's a couple dots on the dipstick tube, and I think the full level you want just above the pan rail. And And that may be slightly higher than my second dot on that thing. It's not, I don't think it's in between the dots is full. Seems a little low. Now I don't know where I got this dipstick. Could come out of Turbo 350 or something like that. But I had already tried adding extra fluid in it. It didn't make a difference on the whine. So what I'll do is I will fill it up over the second dot on that dipstick by maybe a 1/4 inch or so. And I'll have to mark the dipstick when I have it out, but I'll consider that full. The other thing is my pickup tube here. I have 2 O-rings on it. That's also a suggested thing for Turbo 400 so they don't suck air, is to put 2 O-rings on that tube there. Okay, so now I'm going to put the filter on the way it's supposed to be, which seems totally wrong to me, but it's the way it is. So get this up on the tube. I have my spacer tube that's going to go on top of the filter, and the shoulder bolt go through it, and the shoulder bolt threads into the valve body. Like that. Torque it. And that's how it's supposed to be. Floaty. So the spacer isn't even up against the valve body. It's got a little bit of play in it. That's how it's supposed to be. So we're going to go with it. I'm going to clean the pan bottom there, clean my gasket, put it back together. All right, got the pan cleaned up, got the rail cleaned up, which is now leaking oil where I didn't want it, and cleaned the gasket all up and promptly dropped it right in the pan with the oil. So we'll see if it leaks. Who knows? I don't know. Let's see if we can get this started with a few bolts. First, let's turn it around the right way. Let's see if we can do this. Nice with the gasket, holds the bolts for you. Makes it a little easier. This is an ultra cork gasket, it says on it. And that seems to work well. At least it did the first time. Is it one-time use? I don't know. Not today, it's not. Today it's 2-time use. At least I hope it's only 2-time use. We'll see. Hope I'm not back in here. Famous last words. Snug them up, not crank the snot out of them. And hopefully, the gasket's hopefully reusable. I'll try not to crunch the snot out of it. And we'll see if it leaks. Probably to see how much it leaks. All right, well, we got fluid in the transmission. At least I think I have enough. I don't know if it's leaking, but is what it is. Ain't nothing left to do but go for a drive and see what happens. Myself a speedometer. Pull over here and set up my phone. I have a GPS speedometer, but I haven't put it in yet. The original one that I wanted to use there bounces around quite a bit, so it may not be a bit accurate. 4 pounds of boost right now. AFRs are down around 11, so I think that's safe. But it doesn't, it accelerates, but it doesn't, you know, like take off like a rocket ship or anything. It definitely drives just like any other car. It's got power, but it drives nice. So that's the advantage of the turbo. You can run a small cam. Doesn't make for a cantankerous engine. But for a car with a 273 gear and a little tiny engine, it drives nice. It's got more than enough power. But I think I'm gonna have to change the wastegate spring because I'm only seeing about 4 pounds, and I have the wastegate plumbed into the exhaust, so I can't tell when the wastegate opens up because it's not dumping out. And as far as the loud valve going out the fender, I really can't hear it. I don't know how much boost it takes to open that thing up. I have a feeling I'm pretty much just running through the regular exhaust system. All right, we made it home. Although part of my quarter panel was hanging off. All right, so we made it home. It's always good when your project car doesn't make you walk. I wasn't even thinking about it because I was too busy thinking about watching gauges and stuff. Transmission's good. No more supercharger sound. So must have just been that filter was junk. It was supposed to be an AC Delco filter, but you know, you buy things online and there's a lot of counterfeit stuff out there. So it may have been junk. May have also been the fact that everybody tells me don't run one of those filters, run a screen filter. So that could be it too. Either way, fixed the screw up I did with the filter being solidly mounted, and I fixed my screw up not using a screen filter. So transmission seems to work fine. Car drives great. I mean, it drives nice. It's just like driving a newer car. These Jaguar suspensions that I use are fantastic. They're really quick steering. Brakes are fantastic. The only thing you have to get used to is if you put a Jag in something like this and keep the big steering wheel, the slightest movement, you're turning. So, you know, if you think you're going to yank it to make a corner, you're going to end up in a ditch. First time I took the car out, it was a real reminder of that. I put one of these Jags in my 41 Cadillac that I had, and that has a huge pearl steering wheel. And man, you just move that thing a little bit and you were turning. So it worked out good. Truck arm suspension works great. Rides nice. It's not overly noisy, overly loud with the exhaust that's on it. It's definitely, you can hear it, but it's fine to drive to a car show, stuff like that, no problem. I just have to keep driving it and running logs. I do want to lean it out. It's still running rich, and I want to lean it out for just cruising around driving so it isn't using every gallon of gas there is, because most of the time you're just driving the car. So if I want to drive it, 2 hours to a car show and I'm just cruising, there's no need for it to get 10 miles per gallon. I should be able to do a lot better than that and lean it out. Right now, I don't even think it's getting 10 because everything is rich across the board on this thing. So we'll have to adjust that, but transmission's good. So overall, I think it's awesome. I just have to get more boost. I only saw about 4 pounds with the spring that's in there right now. So I think I'm just going to split the vacuum line, run it to the top, see if we can get 8. And that should be even more fun. Right now, it's already too fast for the roads around here. I mean, I'm on 55-mile-an-hour roads that are pretty straight and open, but, only for so long. So it already is too fast for those roads. This thing is already like a highway type car if you want to go fast. But it worked out really well. And while I was pumping the transmission fluid out of the thing, because it was taking so long, I put the eBay turbo heat blanket on the turbo, and it fit fine. Even though it was made for a T4 flange, I wasn't sure if it was going to work with the V-band turbo. It fit fine, no problem. All I have left is I have some heat wrap to put on the downpipe, and that'll clean that up. Otherwise, man, there's really not any issues. I mean, everything worked out great. I mean, I right now, other than one thing I do have to adjust is I have to adjust the VSS because it's reading very low. I don't know why. I thought I had it right, but I looked at the input on the log and it thinks I'm only going like 5 miles an hour. And I think that's the problem with short stopping. It doesn't know how fast you're going and it'll stall the car. It's happened a couple times. It doesn't always happen, but it's still something that I don't like. So I'm gonna have to make an adjustment to that to get my speed reading higher to try to eliminate that problem. Otherwise, I know what I did with the car. I would have no problem driving this car across the country right now. It runs right at 200 degrees when you're sitting there, no problem, doesn't overheat. The brakes are excellent, suspension's excellent, ride, steers nice. If you can stand the drone of the exhaust for that long amount of time, however you're gonna drive it, it's ready to go, nothing to it. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it came out really cool. Just a reminder, if you're building something silly or anything at all, stick with it. Don't let it get ahead of you and give up on it. I mean, I buy a lot of cars that are half done. And I have cars that are half done because I got off onto something else, but not because I gave up. But if you're building something like this, do a list. I don't even think I finished scratching off everything on the list, but if you can do just one thing a week, even if it takes 2 years, which, I spent 2 years since I started this build. And again, it wasn't every day and it wasn't every month, but it got done. One thing at a time, and your projects will get done. So I think that's enough rambling, and I think that is it for this car until I get some more boost in it and I can do some burnout videos for it with you, because I'm in an area where it's not easy to find a spot to do that, where somebody's not going to call the cops on you. So we'll get to it. Don't worry. I love burnouts, and I'll find somewhere to do it, and I got to get the boost up. I'm just going to continue to drive it, tune it, and get the boost up. I've got more donor vehicles I have to get rid of. I just got rid of an Escalade today. I've got another one I'm going to push into the garage. Yeah, push. In just now, after I'm done with this video, I'm going to go out and get it in the garage. That one's got to go. And probably at least one more before I start the next project, which is going to be cool. I've already got like 3 lined up to go, but I have decided which one's going to be the next one. And yeah, I'll let you know when that comes up, and it'll be a surprise. No one would ever guess of what I'm going to build. That's for sure. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody who subscribes, everybody who's followed along. And I guess there's nothing more to say. I'll see you on the next one. Later.